So, hey everybody, Scott Jansen back with another Advanced Conversational Hypnotherapy Program student interview. Well, that's a long title. I need to fix that up. We are here today with the amazing Brian Smith, who is an advanced conversational hypnotherapist. His background in therapy and also helping clients with a myriad of problems. I've got Brian here today with on his busy schedule, I should say, to talk a little bit about what's been happening in his therapy business. Brian has just completed my 2-day advanced conversational hypnotherapy program and the profound changes he's been making as a therapist. I wanted to get his feedback and see what's been going on, but also as well, find out where Brian actually started, get his whole timeline of why he became a therapist, what his business is like now, what's it like with this new style of therapy. So man, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're super busy. I really appreciate this.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I was really looking forward to doing this for you.
Awesome. But man, let's start from the start. Why did you get into therapy in the first place? I'm always curious because it's such a weird career to get into. How did it start for you?
You know what? This is going to sound really strange, but remember back in the day, like in the late 80s when they had these commercials but they looked like documentaries. Mm-hmm. And now they're called infomercials.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I remember they had this infomercial where they're talking about the power of the mind and how you could listen to these tapes and you can reprogram your unconscious, and then they went over the experiment with the guys who are shooting the basketball, and like a group would just imagine they're shooting hoops and the other one would actually shoot hoops, and they both scored equally well.
Yeah.
Right then I was just totally fascinated. I think I was in high school at that time, and I always just kept that in the back of my mind. And then one day I was in a used bookstore and I saw this book on hypnosis, and so I read it and I learned how to do it, and I learned self-hypnosis.
Oh, right. Okay.
And and then after that, after college, I got married kind of early, and so I forgot all about that, and I was just in money making mode, like survival mode, to keep the family fed, and I just totally forgot about it. And then I don't know, it was sometime a few years ago, I just started thinking. I was always reading books about that kind of thing, always reading about the mind and the unconscious. And then one day I ran across this hypnosis certification course, and I thought, wow, that's kind of cool, So I took that a long time ago. But the problem with that was they never really show you how to get clients.
Okay.
So and so I just kind of like, well, I gotta, and then in the process of me trying to promote that business, I got sidetracked because I ended up doing a lot of internet stuff and a lot of web stuff because I'm a kind of a technical guy. And then and I ended up doing that as a business for a while, just helping local businesses do rankings and Google and SEO. That was back when, in the old days, when it was easy. You could just keyword stuff, and it was
that's a long time ago.
A long time ago. That was back when it was easy to do. And then I kind of got away from it, and then I quit that. I got a regular job, and then I thought, you know what? I had something really tragic happen to me, about a few years ago, not recently, but just a few years ago, and it just really completely. When I was coming out of that, when I had the rug pulled out from it, when I was coming out of it, then I just started really. I think I had my pandemic midlife crisis before the pandemic.
Okay.
A lot of people are reevaluating their priorities and their life goals. Well, I just started thinking, you know what? I don't want to work this corporate job for the rest of my life. What do I really want to do? What are some things that I wanted to do that I just kind of lost track of? And I thought, oh yeah, I just feel drawn to doing this therapy thing again. So then I signed up with another course and I got certified in that. And then with that one, what worried me about that course was that I didn't feel confident that I could really get the results.
Okay.
And they went with just the standard scripts, and then they had, and it was overwhelming because they had element technique and this technique and that technique and language patterns. And I'm thinking, how in the hell am I going to remember any of this when I'm sitting in front of somebody, And so then I gave up on that one, and about another year went by, and then I ran across this other course, and it seemed like they had a little bit more structure, and it gave me a little more confidence. I go, okay, I can do this. So I took that one. And that one just does a lot of things like regression and some other stuff. And I thought, okay, well, this is something I could do. Well, I started having some success with that.
Okay.
But still a lot of things, just coming to scripts and having that set protocol. I would just get painted into a corner and I didn't know what to do, and I would get stuck, and I never had that confidence that I could just, no matter what comes at me, that I could really give the results that I want for my clients and have it be permanent and have it never come back.
Sure.
So,
what do you mean by stuck in a corner? How did you know the results weren't the best? What were you feeling as a therapist?
Well, like for instance, like for a regression, sometimes clients can't think of a past scene to go back to.
Right.
And then now what? You're stuck. And then you have to come up with some kind of like script or something on the fly where you're putting in positive suggestions or something, or you have to reschedule and have a redo and have them come back.
Okay.
And even then, sometimes they would feel okay after the session, but then maybe like a few weeks later, they'd have whatever the issue they came in for, they'd have a relapse, or it wouldn't stick. And then I'd have to go through again. And so I was just feeling my confidence was just eroding a little bit each time. And that would affect me in sessions too, because I was starting to question my instincts and I didn't have that faith in myself. So I started really going all in with the protocol. Right. And just trying to stick that strictly as possible because I didn't want to mess it up. And it wasn't until I ran across your course and I followed that, then that's when I started really trusting myself and trusting my instincts and just realizing that we're all gifted therapists naturally. It's just a matter of just bringing it out.
Yeah. Was there always a lot of prep time with like the script and rigid techniques and stuff like that?
Yes. I had a stack of papers and I had a questionnaire that I would have them fill out that was God knows how long. And here's the thing too, is that while they were doing regression stuff, I was having to take notes so I can recall and go back and add those phrases they mentioned in there. I was so preoccupied writing these notes. I don't want to forget anything, because at the end I would literally do a recording for them at the end of the session. And I would run them through like a standard, hypnosis induction, and run through all the suggestions and the script. And I'm trying to keep track of all that. And here they are telling me all this stuff. And I just didn't realize that I was missing everything by doing that, because I wasn't fully in tune and fully focused on what they were doing. And my stress level was going up, and I'm listening to them, and I'm trying to write all this stuff down. And then, and I'm writing, and the faster I'm trying to write, the less legible my writing is. Right. And then at the end of the session, I'm looking at what the hell did I just write? This is a total waste of time. But at the end, then I would just wing it, at the end. And I just always felt a little uneasy at the end of every session. Right. Sometimes I'd be, half the time I would be okay and it'd be a success, but that other half, that always got to me.
As far as breakthroughs, what was pretty typical as far as like length of time? Was it like multiple sessions, multiple sittings, all that sort of stuff?
A minimum 2 to 3. Okay. Occasionally it'd be 1, but it'd be really rare. Not like now. Okay. And the sessions. Oh, here's another thing that would just. The sessions could take anywhere, I don't know, between 2 hours, minimum 2 hours.
Minimum. Plus. Wow. Okay.
Minimum, because it wasn't me just trying to draw it out. It's just going through the protocol. Right. That's about how long it would take. Yeah. And sometimes longer, sometimes maybe slightly shorter, but rarely ever shorter than an hour. Very rare that it ever go under an hour and a half. It always go at least an hour and a half, typically 2.
Yeah. What was that like on your clients? Was there any issues like they're saying it's too long or it's just not working? Any sort of feedback?
Oh my God, I didn't have to tell me anything. I could just see it on their face. I could just tell towards the end, they're just like, okay, I want to really get this issue solved, but dang, I just want to be done with this. Yeah. And then I can feel that pressure. And so, and then I'm preoccupied with that. And I'm preoccupied with my notes, and I'm preoccupied, how in the hell am I going to come up with a script on the fly and put in those positive suggestions at the end of where they'll take. And then I'm also thinking, God, I hope this works. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's where the pressure comes in on yourself. Yeah. Yeah. I just put so much pressure on myself because I really, really wanted to get them the result that they came in for. I really, really want that. That means a lot to me. Yeah. What type of problems were clients coming to see you for? Anxiety. A lot of people are coming in for me for anxiety. Okay. And there's a couple issues that I was just really afraid to touch because I never had any success until recently. And that was any kind of addiction, or especially when it came to like food addictions, like when it came to because I I never had any success with that before.
Okay.
Because now I realize I was not really getting to the root cause. I was just
working on those symptoms. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. Let's move forward a little bit. So you jumped into my program. What were you hoping to get from it? What was the goal? What problem?
I tell you what really impressed me, what really got me is that I was thinking that in my mind, I always thought that something like an addiction like cigarettes was like damn near impossible for people to quit without going through a huge amount of willpower. And when I heard that you were getting results for your clients, especially typically resistant clients, like lawyers who are super analytical and they're really controlled and they're really guarded, that's their job to be, they can't be easily influenced, they can't be swayed. And if you can get them results, and it's such a tough issue. I thought it was a tough issue in my mind, like quitting smoking in such a short period of time. Then I thought, well, then there's something here. Then compared to the other issues that I've been trying to help people with and been presented with, it should be a walk in the park.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking forward. It's just a short time frame, having that freedom for me just to follow my gut and my instincts, because 9 times out of 10, when I listen to my gut, it's right.
Yeah.
It's just whenever every time I've ever had trouble is whenever I've second guessed those instincts.
Okay.
And not do what you said, is just ask those questions that you're dying to ask, but you're afraid to sometimes.
Yeah.
Just ask it. Just ask.
Yeah.
Just
They're the questions that need to be asked.
Go there. Yeah. You sometimes go, maybe I shouldn't go there. Yeah. You need to go there.
Yeah. So you dived into the training. What were your thoughts? Like, obviously we did it over 2 days. What was your first big takeaways from day one? And, you got a chance to be an actual client during one of the sessions, which we'll talk about. But what was your biggest takeaways moving into the program on day one?
Okay. First thing I noticed was you can be in trance without your eyes closed.
Yeah. Isn't that a big one for most people don't realize?
That shocked me, because I've always been used to, hey, close your eyes, put your eye, count from 10 to 1 or whatever. You're going to go down the steps, down to the nice lovely beach. Well, I don't like the beach. Oops. So that's the biggest takeaway that I had there, is that you can do the trance, and also not having that formal step-by-step rigid process, and getting someone through into their unconscious just by those moments when you can spot when the unconscious is starting to take the driver's seat a little bit, and kind of putting the unconscious back, kind of shoving them aside and taking the steering wheel. Hey, I got this conscious mind, let me sit back there for a little bit, just be quiet for a little while, let me drive,
Yeah, absolutely. So you had a chance to actually be a client. What was that like for you? It was a very profound session. So it's sort of a mix between, I can't remember who the therapist was, and I sort of jumped in as well. What was that like for you to experience this style of therapy with no scripts, no structure, no techniques, just this more casual flow? What was that like for you?
First thing that I noticed is that when I've had other therapists do other methods, I think I'm kind of resistant to those methods, because I didn't really feel like I was really in touch or in trance.
Yeah.
And this time I can definitely feel it. And another thing that I realized too is that no one stays in a consistent level of trance throughout the session. I was going in and out of it. And I noticed that with my clients too, is that they go in and out of the trance. They don't, and you can still have the same therapeutic result or better. They don't have to be stuck in that deep somnambulism or whatever it is you call it, or theta waves or whatever you. So that's a big thing that I noticed, and also what would really get in the way with me before as a client when I was being treated by other therapists is that, I'm just going to say it, they just talk too damn much.
Yeah.
I mean, right when I'm about to make a breakthrough, and I'm about to, my unconscious mind is starting to make these connections and start to release something in my body. I can feel, and then all of a sudden I can hear this dialogue. It's like you're trying to watch a really good TV show, and there's like someone talking next to you, like, hey, wait, this is my favorite part. Can you just shut up for a minute? I got it, just for a minute. Just let me get past this part, and then you can talk. Right? Just wait a minute, I could literally feel that when I was with other therapists. I could feel like that part of my unconscious or conscious mind just kind of like rebelling a little bit. Like, hey, just shut up for a minute, But so I had like a lot of room to breathe and a lot of space for all that stuff to come up and for all that to unfold and for those connections to happen organically and more naturally without being forced into it.
Yeah. So, I always found myself like, I just always have to imagine this. If I would have told my clients, and it wasn't even just lawyers, I just tend to attract really resistant people. That's just how it is. And it's funny, I'm very resistant with the whole imagination technique, walk down the stairs. That doesn't work for me. But I can always imagine if I said that to my lawyers, they literally would have laughed at me, walked out and said, what the fuck is this? I want to quit smoking. You're telling me to walk down the stairs. Like, what is this shit? So, I mean, moving like sort of into day one and day two, obviously looking at the no structure, the no techniques, like as we ended the program, how did you feel in contrast to, I mean, we're only there for 2 days. How did you feel in contrast to all those years of learning and stuff like that to where it is now? And then I want to talk about what's the results been for your clients as well.
Okay. What I can say is I truly don't, I truly don't feel like all the other stuff that I had done was a waste.
Okay, good.
Because, and I think you've made this point with other people before, that I would have never fully appreciated your training or your technique unless because there's no way I would have took it, because I wouldn't have fully appreciated, really fully understood, or how profound and how valuable it could be.
You need those training wheels, because otherwise you can't ride the bike at all. It's impossible.
Yeah, I would have never even been in, or I would have dismissed it right away. Why don't you just talk? And forget it. I would have already dismissed it. I would have never even gave it a second thought.
Yeah.
And so all that previous training and all that experience that I previously had, I can still draw on that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now that all those old techniques and all those old protocols, I'm just not using them, because there's no need. There's just no need. I know other people might still use that stuff and use it, and use the conversational hypnosis as like an enhancement what they're already doing.
Yeah.
I feel perfectly fine just letting that other stuff go.
Yeah. What's the results been like for all your clients? We obviously had a chat before. What's that been like with clients?
Just one session done. And usually within, I think the longest session I've had was maybe like an hour and a half, but all the other ones have been under an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I'll tell you again, but I think I told you how, and sometimes when I help the clients at the end of the session, they just look at me like, okay, so when do we start?
Yeah. You're like, we're finished. We're finished.
I go, we're done. And so I told you about this one person, is that she was having emotional eating issues and she was gaining a lot of weight and she was just having a hard time. Well, I helped her realize that her unconscious just picked up like, oh, I'm not overeating because of all this, and because I'm having problems with my ex and blah blah blah. No, I'm just lonely, and I'm just eating to feel better about that.
Yeah.
And so 40 minutes took her to realize that. I mean, profound realization.
Yeah.
And I tested the hell out of her. I just tested her. And she was getting so mad at me. And I go, no, we're making sure this is done. Okay. What's going to happen if this happens? What happens if your ex calls you and he says he's not going to give you the child support this month? What are you going to do? You have that chocolate in your refrigerator. You're going to grab that, aren't you?
What are you going to eat
it. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to jump on my exercise bike and I'll just burn it off. I'm like, are you sure? Yeah. So a few weeks later, I called her up, and no, I didn't call. I just messaged her. So how's it going? And she said, "Oh my God," she goes, "I had the worst week. My ex is giving me trouble. My boss is down my throat, and my kids acting up, and blah blah blah. And I have all these bills due." And I go, "Wow, that's great." And she's like, "What do you mean? I had a horrible week. How is this great? This is awful." I go, "Well, you still have that. You haven't touched that chocolate in the refrigerator, right?" And she just texted me back. She said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that." And then I go, "Well, just for fun, why don't you step on the scale, see what it says?" She goes, she lost 7 kilos.
Wow, that's awesome.
Just after a couple of weeks,
It's always such a cool unconscious change. And I was talking about this in the training as well. When your clients had a deep unconscious change, when they totally forget about ever thinking about the problem before again, or even think, why the hell did I go see Brian? Life's too busy right now. And it's till you bring that realization back to the conscious mind where it's got some tasking, and they go, oh my God, I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. That's crazy. Like, what? How did this work?
Another fun one is I had a random guy, he's having problems getting a date. He was going to all these like speed dating events, everything else, and he just wasn't matching with these girls. And then I went through, a session with him, and then later on I wanted to talk to him and call him up, see how things are going, and he goes, "No, I can't, I'm busy." I go, "Why?" He goes, "I got a date."
Wow.
I go, "That's fantastic. I don't need to talk to you now." He goes, "What do you mean I don't need to talk to me?" I says, "You just realized you told me you matched with that." You go, "Well, yeah, I got a date with this girl, and then this other girl matched with me, and this other girl, so he just had these blocks where he was pushing people away.
Yeah.
And then once those are cleared, and it didn't dawn on him that his problem was solved.
Mm.
It was as if he never had the problem.
Yeah.
That's what amazes me, is that sometimes I had one guy come in, and after the end of the session, he forgot what he came in for.
Awesome.
I mean, he's like, "Well, you're done." And goes, "Well, I forgot. What did we come in here for?" And I go, "Exactly. You're welcome."
Get out of here. Yeah, leave my office. We're good. Were you getting results like this before? Is that pretty common?
Never.
Okay.
Never. No, nowhere near close like this. To me, it was like, I don't know. It was just like, it was just really difficult. This has just been so natural and organic, and it's just been a pleasure. And I remember coming out of other sessions before, when I was doing the other methods, I would come out, especially those marathon sessions, I'd come out drained.
Sure. Yeah.
I would just be wiped out. I mean, I wasn't good for anything, at least until the following day.
Yeah.
But this is different. I just feel calm. I feel energized. I'm ready for the next one.
There's no pressure, no prep time, no pressure, no worries.
No worries. And it's just most of the time it's one and done. And I love that too. I feel so much more confident now. And maybe I'm a little cocky now, but I feel bulletproof now sometimes.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I just feel
that's unconscious, isn't it?
Yeah. I just feel calm. I'm like, no matter what comes my way, I know I can take whatever is given to me.
Yeah.
And one other wonderful thing too is that this is never boring.
Yeah.
There's no way to predict what's going to come up, what's going to happen. And the more I open my mind up and try to get rid of all preconceived notions as far as why or what the cause is, the better, because anytime I make an assumption, I'm always wrong anyway.
Of course. And that's where you box yourself in that corner again.
Every single time I've been wrong when I've done that. So that now I just give, okay, I'm not going to try to guess what this is.
Yeah.
I'm just going to find out what happens.
Does it make sense now? Like when I keep harping on about, you can't prepare for this stuff, you can't prep it. Does it make more sense now being in it?
Yes. Another big one, another really, really big one, especially for someone like me who, until I had conversational hypnosis therapy on myself to get rid of a lot of this, but I had like a real insecurity and a lot of anxiety and like a people pleasing kind of personality.
Sure.
And one of the things that you taught that really was a shift for me, and it took way more pressure off than probably anything else, and that was, I don't try to solve their problems.
Yes.
I just do whatever I can just to let that go. Mm-hmm. Because before I would just be so anxious to try to solve problems. And anyone can run into this, that resistance. You have a friend who's telling me, "Man, I've really gained a lot of weight. I don't know what to do." "Well, you just exercise and eat less." And I'm like, "Well, I can't," because they always come up with some kind of excuse or reason.
Yep. But you'd probably heard that before. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, yes, Scott, I've heard that before. Don't solve my problem." But then we violate that very rule by doing the techniques. Had you heard of that statement before?
Yeah. That's always happened. That's always happened. So, but now that I'm really careful about offering, about trying to solve anyone's problems, because it's all up to them anyway. They're doing all the work anyway, or their unconscious is just helping make those connections.
Yeah, that's that pressure thing. And I used to violate this rule all the time. I'm just as guilty as everybody else. It's quite a contradiction. Your client has paid you to get a result, but as soon as you try and go for that result, you fuck up the whole thing, because now you're pressuring them. And the worst thing is, I think on top of that, you start to connect with the person because you think, "Oh my God, I really want to help you. I really want to help you." and that
Yeah.
blocks you as well. And as soon as you
Yeah.
start feeling pressure, there's an unconscious mind sitting in front of you that'll pick that up as a cue to, oh, well, I'll put pressure on myself and I'll get resistant. And now you've got a resistant therapist, a resistant client, and wondering why nothing's working.
Yeah, that compounds because you're compounding resistance, and
Yeah.
our unconscious is literally getting in the way and actually making it harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes in those moments when I did feel like a little bit of empathy or a little bit of like that urge, what helped me is I think in the group someone posted, it's like, you know, what a personal trainer does, like, you know, is they can't do the push-ups for you. They tell you what to do and they watch you, and they know it's for your own good, and they let you suffer, and they let you get that, you know, that 50th one out, you know, but they're not gonna, you know, but it's a kind of it's a loving thing to do, you know, it's to let someone go through that, you know.
Yeah, you sort of got to be a very pleasant asshole to them, because
Yeah,
it's funny, the more you try and help them, the less help you'll actually give them, because now you're trying to force them to solve a problem that they don't know about, that is so unconscious. You're trying to force them by saying, follow this technique, follow this script, follow this, this, and this. I mean, they get to the end of it and go, well, nothing's happened. Then you think, oh, fuck, what do I do now? Like, do I just repeat it again? Do I do it? And the more times you fail, the harder it gets, and just gets really messy really quickly.
Yeah, I was in that spiral. That happened to me. That was starting to happen to me. I was really losing faith and confidence, and I was getting more and more scared to see clients.
Yeah.
That's what was happening to me. I was just losing confidence.
So what do you do now? Like, as far as like client books in, they've told you what their symptom is. What do you do? How do you get ready for that?
All I do is I just relax, and I literally just don't think. I do my best just to clear my mind.
Yeah.
I have like a few breathing techniques I do. I just feel into my body, and then I just turn on Zoom and I just ask them, say, so what's the problem? And that's it. And I just, whatever happens. I just go with it. To me, it's I come from a martial arts background, and you know, I do, you know, did judo, jiu-jitsu, and all that other stuff. And to me, I'm just I do my best to do little guy techniques, which is, you know, you got to go with the guy's weight, you know, with their momentum, you know, without trying to muscle or force. You know, I can do both, but I have to remember, okay, little guy techniques. I can't do the big guy techniques. I gotta, you know, I gotta be more flowing, more like riding a wave instead of trying to force things to go a certain way, and just enjoying the experience while I'm going down it as it's unfolding to me, instead of just trying to force it down a real specific rigid path.
Yeah. What's been, I guess my last question would be, like, what's been the biggest surprise for you in contrast to client results back then to client results now, and how you feel as a therapist?
The biggest surprise is just how everyone has a solution to their own problems.
Mm-hmm.
But literally what we're really doing is my feeling is that we're literally in the deepest and most profound practice, and in the most practical way, is when we're as therapists, when we use this method, what we're really doing is we're just being pure, unconditional love and a witness for what they're going through.
Yes. And
we're literally healing them with love. Yes. It's just the ultimate love. You're being there 100%, 100 present for them, accepting them and whatever they're giving to you at any given time. And you're just sitting there and you're just being with them, and literally just that, being that witness to who and what they truly are. Yeah. That's enough for them to heal themselves. That's all they need. That's awesome. Has this training solved those big problems for you? Yeah, I just don't have. I just don't have those issues anymore. It's just been a real beautiful experience. Awesome. Now when I do these sessions, I actually really enjoy doing this kind of stuff now, instead of just being, I mean, I'd be a nervous wreck before, and I know that would carry over, and I know my clients would pick up on that. I mean, I'd just be a total nervous wreck before I would start. Yeah. You know, and then I do my best to, you know, be confident, put on my game face, fake it till you make it. Just try to fake it. Yeah. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, man, for sharing that. I mean, I can even tell from the first time I spoke to you compared to now, everything's changed about you.
there is more confidence. Even explaining the type of therapy is a lot more confidence in you now. And man, like we did the training like 3-4 weeks ago. And this is the very start. And to the extent, you know, you've gone so many fathoms with all the practice sessions, the paid clients, all that sort of stuff. Man, give it another 6 months from now, keep harnessing this skill. You'll look back and think, man, I was still doing too much. And I wasn't even doing a lot back then. It just gets better and better, man. So something to look forward to.
I'm just looking forward to it. I'm really excited about the future and this new career that I've, you know, this new path that I've taken, you know, just revisiting this childhood dream that I've always had. You know, now some folks want to be firemen, some folks want to be, I wanted to be a psychologist.
Yeah.
This is better.
Yeah, that's it. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for sharing that, man. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna let you get back to work. We'll see you in the next training anyway, man. And I'll see you in the Facebook group, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, Scott. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Cheers, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.